Commander Lyra Starweaver stood on the bridge of her ship and looked out at the endless black space filled with distant stars. Her long silver hair moved gently as she turned her head to check the control panels around her. She had been exploring the galaxy for over 300 years and had seen many strange things, but today felt different somehow. The Moon Whisper was one of the best exploration ships in the Galactic Survey Fleet. Lyra had picked her crew carefully from different worlds and species. Each member brought special skills that helped them discover new planets and study unknown life forms. They had been traveling through this empty part of space for weeks without finding anything interesting. Zara Vex sat at the tactical station with her 4 blue arms moving quickly over the controls. She was from Arcturus and had joined the crew 5 years ago. Her people were known for being excellent fighters and very good at reading energy patterns. Zara suddenly stopped moving and stared at her screen with all 4 eyes wide open. "Commander, I am getting some very strange readings from the 3rd planet in this system," Zara said in her deep voice. "The computer says this world was checked 300 years ago and marked as dead. But my sensors are showing active energy signatures." Lyra walked over to Zara's station and looked at the display. The numbers on the screen made no sense. According to their records, planet designation X7429 was a toxic wasteland with deadly storms and poisonous air. No known species could live there. Yet the sensors were clearly showing signs of advanced technology and possibly even cities. Kayla Nim floated over from the science station. Her crystalline body caught the light from the displays and threw tiny rainbows around the bridge. The vegan scientist could process information faster than any computer, and her face showed confusion and excitement at the same time. "Commander, these readings are impossible," Kayla said in her musical voice. "The energy output from that planet is higher than most galactic capital worlds. Someone has not only made that toxic planet livable, but they have built a civilization that uses more power than should be possible." Dr. Maya Frost moved closer with her tentacles curled in thought. The Proximan xenobiologist had studied life forms from thousands of worlds, but she had never seen anything like these readings. Her large purple eyes blinked slowly as she tried to understand what the sensors were telling them. "The atmospheric readings are completely different from the old surveys," Maya said. 300 years ago, that planet had air that would kill most species in minutes. Now the computer says the atmosphere is not only breathable but actually cleaner than most inhabited worlds. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. In all her years of exploration, she had never encountered anything that could transform a dead world into a thriving planet. The most advanced terraforming technology in the galaxy could make small changes to a planet over hundreds of years, but this looked like someone had completely rebuilt an entire world. "Show me the visual scan," Lyra ordered. The main screen lit up with an image that made the entire bridge crew fall silent. Where the old records showed a brown and gray wasteland covered in toxic clouds, they now saw a beautiful blue and green world. White clouds drifted over green continents and blue oceans. Lights twinkled on the night side of the planet, showing cities and settlements spread across the surface. "By the ancient stars," Lyra whispered. "What species could do this?" Zara's tactical display suddenly came alive with new contacts. "Commander, I am detecting orbital platforms around the planet. They appear to be space stations and construction facilities. There is also significant ship traffic moving between the planet and the stations." Kayla's crystalline form brightened as she processed the new information. "The technology signatures are unlike anything in our database. These are not Arcturian, vegan, Proximan, or any other known technology patterns. This is something completely new." Maya's tentacles moved nervously as she studied the biological readings. "I am detecting life signs that match no known species. The genetic patterns are completely foreign to our databases." Lyra made a decision that would change everything. "Set course for the planet, but approach slowly and keep all defensive systems ready. We have no idea what we are dealing with here." As the Moon Whisper moved closer to the mysterious world, the crew continued to gather more impossible data. The planet not only supported life, but seemed to be thriving beyond anything they had ever seen. Massive structures floated in the atmosphere, connected by transport systems that defied several laws of physics. Agriculture domes covered vast areas of land that should have been poisonous to any known crops. "Commander," Zara said with wonder in her voice, I am reading power sources that produce more energy than our ship's fusion reactor, but they are the size of small buildings. This technology is centuries beyond anything in the galactic database. Lyra stared at the planet growing larger on their screen. Whoever lived there had accomplished something that the greatest minds in the galaxy considered impossible. They had taken a world that was actively trying to kill any life form and turned it into what looked like a paradise. Begin passive scans. Only, Lyra ordered. I want to know everything about this place before we make contact, and start recording everything. The Galactic Council is never going to believe this. As they entered the outer edge of the planet's sensor range, Lyra wondered what kind of beings could achieve such impossible feats. What species had the power to reshape entire worlds and build technology that surpassed anything known to galactic civilization? More importantly, why had they never made contact with the galaxy before now? The Moon Whisper continued its approach toward the impossible planet, carrying a crew of experienced explorers who were about to discover that everything they thought they knew about the limits of possibility was wrong. The Moon Whisper had barely entered the planet's detection range when every alarm on the bridge started making noise. Zara's 4 hands moved quickly over her controls as she tried to understand what was happening. Her blue skin turned a darker shade as stress filled her body. Commander, we have been detected, Zara announced. Multiple sensor sweeps are targeting our ship right now, but something is strange. These are not military scans. They feel more like welcome sensors than weapon locks. Before Lyra could respond, the communication system came alive with a clear signal. A warm female voice speaking perfect galactic standard filled the bridge. The voice sounded friendly and completely unafraid, as if meeting alien ships was something that happened every day. Unknown vessel. This is Director Kate Morrison of the New Terra Colonial Administration. Welcome to our system. We detected your approach and wanted to extend greetings to fellow travelers. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. The entire bridge crew stared at each other in shock. Not only was the voice speaking their language perfectly, but the name the speaker had given suggested something impossible. Terra was the legendary homeworld of a species called humans, but most galactic scholars believed humans were either extinct or just stories from ancient times. Lyra took a deep breath and activated the communication system. This is Commander Lyra Starweaver of the Galactic Survey vessel Moon Whisper. We are explorers investigating energy readings from your planet. Our records show this world as uninhabitable. The voice that responded carried a light laugh that sounded genuine and amused. Well, our records show this world as very much inhabited, Commander. About 50 million of us call New Terra home. Would you like to visit our main spaceport? We would be honored to meet representatives of the Galactic Survey. Kayla's crystalline form pulsed with excited energy as she processed this information. Commander, if these are truly humans, then we are witnessing the discovery of a species that most of the galaxy considers to be mythical. Ancient records speak of humans as a bipedal species with incredible adaptability, but no confirmed contact has been made in over 1,000 years. Maya's tentacles curled and uncurled with nervous energy. The biological readings I am getting from the planet's surface confirm the presence of a species that matches the theoretical human genetic pattern. But the population numbers are much higher than should be possible on a world that was uninhabitable just 3 centuries ago. The voice came through the speakers again, still sounding completely calm and friendly. Commander Starweaver, we are transmitting landing coordinates for our primary spaceport. Our traffic control system will guide you safely through our orbital platforms. Please do not be alarmed by our defensive systems. They are automated but will not interfere with your approach. Lyra looked around at her crew. Every face showed the same mixture of excitement and disbelief. They might be about to make first contact with a species that could reshape entire worlds and build technology that exceeded anything in known space. Accept their landing coordinates, Lyra ordered. But keep all sensors active and be ready for anything. As the Moon Whisper descended through the planet's atmosphere, the crew watched in amazement as the impossible became real before their eyes. Massive atmospheric processors floated in the clouds, somehow turning the toxic gases into clean air. Cities built on anti-gravity platforms drifted above the surface, connected by transport tubes that seemed to ignore several laws of physics. Commander, Zara said with awe in her voice, Those atmospheric processors are changing the chemical composition of this planet's air in real time. They are not just filtering toxins. They are actually converting poisonous gases into breathable atmosphere. Kayla's processing abilities were working at full capacity as she tried to understand what she was seeing. The energy required for such atmospheric manipulation should be beyond any known technology. Yet these humans are doing it as if it were a simple engineering problem. The spaceport that came into view was unlike anything the crew had ever seen. Instead of simple landing pads and basic facilities, they saw a complex that looked more like a small city. Ships from dozens of different designs were taking off and landing in perfect coordination. The traffic control system managed hundreds of flights without any apparent effort. Dr. Maya Frost studied the biological readings as they landed. "Commander, the life signs I am detecting are incredible. Not only are there millions of humans living on this planet, but they appear to be healthier and longer-lived than their species' baseline suggests they should be." As the Moon Whisper touched down on the designated landing pad, they saw two figures walking toward their ship. Both appeared to be human females, walking with the confident stride of people who were completely at home in their environment. One was older with graying brown hair and laugh lines around her eyes. The other was younger with bright red hair and an infectious smile. "That must be Director Kate Morrison," Lyra said as she watched the approaching humans. "She looks exactly like the ancient descriptions of human appearance, but something about her seems different. More confident, maybe, like someone who has never encountered a problem she could not solve." The communication system activated again. "Commander Starweaver, this is Kate Morrison. I am here with my deputy Lisa Hayes. We are very excited to meet you and your crew. Please feel free to exit your ship when you are ready. Our atmosphere is safe for most galactic species, and we have prepared refreshments that should be suitable for your various biological needs." Zara checked her sensors. "One more time. All readings confirm that the atmosphere is safe, Commander. In fact, it appears to be cleaner and more oxygen-rich than most inhabited worlds." Lyra stood up and straightened her uniform. "Very well. Zara, Kayla, and Maya, you are with me. Let us go meet these impossible humans and find out how they have achieved what every galactic civilization considers to be beyond the realm of possibility." As they walked toward the airlock, each crew member felt the weight of the moment. They were about to make contact with a species that had somehow transformed a toxic wasteland into a thriving paradise. If these humans had truly accomplished such impossible feats, then everything the galaxy believed about the limits of technology and civilization was about to change. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and Commander Lyra Starweaver stepped onto the surface of New Terra to meet the humans who had achieved the impossible. Kate Morrison stood waiting with a warm smile as the alien crew stepped off their ship. She appeared to be in her middle years, with graying brown hair pulled back in a practical style and eyes that sparkled with genuine curiosity. Her clothing looked simple but well-made, and she carried herself with the easy confidence of someone completely comfortable with meeting new species. "Welcome to New Terra," Kate said, extending her hand in the traditional human greeting. "I hope your journey was pleasant. We do not get many visitors from the Galactic Survey, so this is quite exciting for us." Lyra studied the human woman carefully. Kate seemed completely relaxed, despite meeting aliens for what should have been the first time. Most species showed at least some nervousness when encountering unknown life forms, but Kate acted as if hosting galactic visitors was something she did every week. "Thank you for your welcome, Director Morrison," Lyra replied. "I must admit we are surprised to find anyone living here. Our records indicated this planet was uninhabitable." Kate laughed, a sound that seemed genuinely amused rather than nervous. "Well, it certainly was not very welcoming when we first arrived. The air tried to kill us, the storms were constant, and the soil was so toxic that nothing would grow. But humans have always been good at making the best of difficult situations." Lisa Hayes stepped forward with an even brighter smile. Her red hair caught the sunlight, and her green eyes seemed to dance with excitement. "We have prepared a tour of our facilities if you would like to see how we have adapted to local conditions. I think you might find our solutions interesting." Zara's 4 eyes moved constantly as she scanned the area around them. Her tactical training made her notice details that others might miss. "Director Morrison, your defensive systems are very impressive. I can detect energy signatures that suggest weapons capable of destroying entire fleets, yet they do not target us as threats. Kate nodded casually. Our automated defense grid recognizes peaceful intentions. We learned early on that New Terra's location makes it attractive to various groups with less than friendly goals. Pirates, slavers, that sort of thing. We had to develop ways to protect ourselves. Kayla's crystalline form pulsed with confused energy as she processed what Kate had just said. The casual way the humans spoke about weapons that could destroy fleets suggested technology far beyond anything in the galactic database. Yet Kate mentioned it the same way someone might discuss a home security system. "If you do not mind me asking," Maya said with her tentacles curled in curiosity, "how did your people manage to survive the initial colonization of such a hostile world?" Lisa's smile grew even brighter. "Oh, that is a great story. Our ancestors were refugees from a system conflict about 2 centuries ago. They arrived here with minimal supplies and about 3 days of clean air. Most species would have died quickly, but humans are very stubborn about staying alive." Kate gestured toward a transport vehicle that had arrived silently beside them. "Why do not we show you instead of just talking about it? Our chief engineer, Amanda Clark, is working on expanding our atmospheric processing network today. She loves explaining how the systems work." The transport vehicle looked like nothing in any galactic database. It moved without visible engines or energy signatures that Zara could identify. The ride was completely smooth, as if they were floating rather than traveling over ground. Through the transparent walls, they could see the impossible landscape of New Terra. Where ancient records showed barren wastelands, green forests now covered rolling hills. Rivers of clean water flowed toward cities that sparkled in the sunlight. Massive agricultural complexes stretched to the horizon, somehow growing. Crops in soil that should have been deadly to any known plant life. "How is any of this possible?" Lyra asked, staring out at the transformed world. "The energy requirements alone should be beyond any known technology." Kate shrugged as if the question was not particularly important. "We needed it to work, so we figured out how to make it work. Humans have always been good at solving problems when our survival depends on it." They arrived at a facility that looked like a cross between a research center and a factory. Massive atmospheric processors rose into the sky, their surfaces covered with technology that made Kayla's crystalline brain hurt to contemplate. Workers moved around the complex with the casual efficiency of people who understood exactly what they were doing. Amanda Clark met them at the entrance. She was a tall woman with short blonde hair and hands that showed the calluses of someone who worked with machinery. Her smile was warm but distracted, as if part of her mind was still focused on engineering problems. "Welcome to Processing Station 7, Amanda said cheerfully. "We are expanding our coverage to include the southern continent today. The atmospheric converters there are about 30 years old, so we are upgrading them with our latest molecular filtration systems." Zara's tactical mind tried to process what Amanda had just said. "You are upgrading technology that is only 30 years old. How rapidly does your technology advance?" Amanda looked surprised by the question. "Well, we learn something new almost every day. When you are trying to survive on a world that wants to kill you, innovation happens pretty quickly. We probably upgrade our major systems every few years." Kayla's form brightened as she realized the implications. Most galactic civilizations consider major technological advances to occur over decades or centuries. You are advancing at a rate that should be impossible. "I guess we have never really thought about it that way," Amanda replied. "We just identify problems and work on solutions. When something does not work, we try something else until we find something that does work." Maya's tentacles moved nervously as she studied the atmospheric processors. "These machines are converting toxic gases into breathable air at a planetary scale. The energy requirements should exceed the total power output of most star systems." Amanda nodded enthusiastically. "That was definitely our biggest challenge in the early days. We had to develop new power generation methods that could handle the load. Once we figured out how to harness the planet's magnetic field and tap into zero-point energy fluctuations, the power problems became much more manageable." Lyra felt her worldview shifting as she listened to Amanda speak. The human woman was casually describing technology that galactic science considered theoretically impossible. Yet here it was, working perfectly and being upgraded like routine. "Maintenance," Would you like to see how the molecular converters work? Amanda asked, with genuine excitement. We just finished installing a new quantum filtration array that can process atmospheric toxins at the subatomic level. As they followed Amanda deeper into the facility, each member of the alien crew realized they were witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. These humans had not just survived impossible conditions, they had thrived and developed technology that made the impossible look routine. Dr. Nicole Grant welcomed them to the medical facility with the same casual confidence that every human seemed to possess. She was a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and gentle hands that moved with the precision of someone who had performed countless surgeries. The medical center around them looked more advanced than anything the galactic community had ever conceived. We were just finishing up a limb regeneration procedure when you arrived, Nicole said, as if regrowing human body parts was as routine as treating a minor cut. The patient lost her arm in a construction accident 3 days ago. She should be fully healed and back to work by tomorrow morning. Maya's tentacles trembled with disbelief. Dr. Grant, limb regeneration is considered impossible by galactic medical science. The most advanced procedures can only repair minor tissue damage over months of treatment. Nicole looked genuinely puzzled by Maya's statement. Really? We have been regrowing limbs for over a century. It was one of the first medical breakthroughs we achieved after colonization. When you are working in hazardous conditions with limited medical supplies, you learn to repair whatever goes wrong. She led them through treatment rooms where patients were being healed from injuries and illnesses that would be death sentences on any other world. Zara watched as a human with severe radiation poisoning was completely cured in what appeared to be a routine procedure lasting less than an hour. My species suffers from a genetic condition that limits our lifespan to about 200 years, Zara said hesitantly. Our best scientists have worked on this problem for generations without success. Nicole examined Zara with professional interest, running a handheld scanner over the Arcturian's blue skin. Oh, I see the issue. It is a cellular regeneration problem caused by a missing enzyme in your genetic sequence. We could fix that easily enough. Would you like me to prepare the treatment? Kayla's crystalline form pulsed with shocked energy. You can cure a genetic condition that has plagued an entire species for thousands of years. Well, yes, Nicole replied with a slight frown of confusion. Genetic disorders are usually pretty straightforward to fix once you understand the underlying molecular structure. Is this condition particularly complicated somehow? Their next stop was the agricultural sector, where Carol Webb showed them farming facilities that defied every known principle of biology and chemistry. She was a sun-weathered woman with dirt under her fingernails and the satisfied smile of someone who made impossible things grow. The soil here was completely toxic. When we arrived, Carol explained as they walked through vast greenhouses filled with thriving crops. Nothing would grow, and the rain was basically acid. But we discovered that the native microorganisms could be modified to form symbiotic relationships with earth plants. Maya studied the soil samples that Carol provided. According to her instruments, the dirt should have killed any known plant life within hours. Yet around them, crops grew with incredible vigor, producing yields that exceeded anything achieved on the most fertile worlds in known space. These plants are thriving in soil that should be lethal to them, Maya observed with wonder in her voice. How did you modify the microorganisms to make this possible? Carol shrugged as if the question was not particularly interesting. We just kept trying different approaches until something worked. It took about 10 years of experimentation, but eventually we found the right combination of genetic modifications and chemical treatments. 10 years, Kayla repeated with disbelief. Most agricultural development projects take decades just to plan and centuries to implement. We did not have decades, Carol replied simply. We needed food to survive, so we made it work. Rachel Moore met them at the colony's historical center, where records of the early settlement told a story that should have ended in tragedy, but instead became a tale of impossible triumph. Rachel was a quiet woman with gray hair and eyes that had seen both hardship and amazing achievement. The original colonists arrived with supplies for maybe 6 months, Rachel explained as she showed them holographic displays of the early years. They landed on a world where the air was poison, the water was acid, and the soil would kill anything they tried to plant. Any sensible species would have died quickly. The displays showed images of the first human settlements. Tiny domes and underground shelters where desperate people had tried to survive in an environment that was actively trying to kill them. Yet somehow, those small groups of refugees had not only survived, but had begun the process of transforming an entire world. How did they survive those first years? Lyra asked, studying the images of the early colony. Stubbornness, mostly, Rachel replied with a slight smile. Humans do not give up easily. When the air tried to kill them, they built better air filters. When the water was poisonous, they developed purification systems. When nothing would grow, they kept experimenting until something would. Dr. Helen Price arrived to explain the scientific principles behind humanity's achievements. She was a brilliant woman whose casual explanation of impossible physics made the alien visitors question everything they thought they knew about the universe. The key insight was realizing that most of what other species consider impossible is really just a matter of perspective, Helen said, as she showed them holographic models of technologies that should not exist. When your survival depends on solving a problem, you tend to find creative solutions. She demonstrated devices that manipulated gravity as if it were a simple tool, converted matter at the atomic level with casual ease, and harnessed energy, sources that most galactic civilizations had never even theorized about. Yet she presented these miraculous technologies with the same attitude that someone might use to explain a household appliance. But these technologies violate fundamental laws of physics, Kayla protested, her crystalline form flickering with confused energy. Do they? Helen asked with genuine curiosity. Or do they just use laws of physics that your species has not discovered yet? We have found that the universe is much more flexible than most people realize. Commander Beth Stone met them at the colony's defense headquarters, where she casually mentioned that New Terra was just one of dozens of human colonies scattered across unexplored space. She was a competent military officer who spoke about defending against impossible threats as if it were routine peacekeeping work. Each colony has faced different challenges, Beth explained as she showed them star charts marking human settlements. Some had to deal with hostile alien species. Others were located in star systems with unusual physics. A few were established in regions where space itself behaved differently from normal. And all of these colonies succeeded, Lyra asked with growing amazement. Of course, Beth replied, as if the question was strange. Humans do not establish colonies expecting them to fail. We identify problems and solve them. That is what we do. As the tour continued, the alien visitors began to understand that they were witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. These humans had not just survived impossible conditions, they had made surviving the impossible look easy. Every challenge that would have destroyed other civilizations had become just another problem for humans to solve, with their characteristic determination and ingenuity. As the day of revelations continued, Dr. Susan Blake offered to share human medical advances with the entire galaxy. She spoke about curing diseases that had plagued civilizations for millennia and extending lifespans for countless species, but she made these incredible offers with the same casual tone that someone might use to offer directions to a lost traveler. We have treatment protocols for most known genetic disorders, Susan explained, while showing them medical databases that contained solutions to problems galactic science considered unsolvable. We also have therapies that can extend healthy lifespan for most carbon-based species by several 100%. Would the Galactic Council be interested in this information? Maya's tentacles curled with excitement and disbelief. Dr. Blake, what you are offering could revolutionize medicine across thousands of worlds. These treatments could save billions of lives. Susan looked pleased but not surprised by Maya's reaction. That would be wonderful. We have always believed that medical knowledge should be shared freely. Suffering is suffering regardless of what species experiences it. Engineer Diane Foster joined them at the colony's industrial complex, where massive construction projects that should have taken decades were being completed in months. She was a practical woman with oil-stained coveralls and the satisfied expression of someone who built impossible things as a matter of routine. We are currently working on 17 terraforming projects in nearby systems, Diane said as she showed them construction bays where ships and equipment were being built with technologies that exceeded anything in galactic databases. Most of them should be completed within the next 5 to 10 years. Zara's 4 eyes widened as she processed what Diane had just said. You are terraforming 17 worlds simultaneously. The galactic community has only successfully terraformed 12 worlds in the past 1,000 years. Diane shrugged as if the comparison was not particularly meaningful. Different species have different approaches to engineering problems. We tend to work quickly when we see something that needs to be done. Scientist Patricia Mills arrived to discuss cultural and technological exchanges with the galaxy. She was an enthusiastic researcher who spoke about advancing galactic civilization by centuries as if it were an interesting weekend project rather than an impossible dream. "We have been monitoring galactic communications for decades," Patricia explained with genuine excitement. "Your civilizations have such fascinating approaches to art, philosophy, and social organization. We would love to establish formal cultural exchange programs." Kayla's crystalline form pulsed with confused energy. "You have been monitoring our communications? How long have you known about galactic civilization?" "Oh, since before we established the colony here," Patricia replied casually. "We needed to understand who our neighbors were and what kind of challenges we might face. Standard preparation for any colonization effort." Lyra felt her understanding of the universe shifting as she realized the implications of what Patricia had just revealed. "You have known about us all along, but you chose not to make contact." Kate Morrison, who had been listening to the conversation, smiled with gentle amusement. "We were not sure you were ready for us yet. Humans have a tendency to make other species feel inadequate when we show them what we can accomplish. We wanted to wait until we could share our abilities in a way that would be helpful rather than overwhelming." The statement hung in the air, like a challenge to everything the galactic community believed about itself. These humans had been watching galactic civilization for decades, studying their neighbors and preparing for eventual contact. Yet they had chosen to remain hidden until they felt the galaxy was ready to meet them. "What made you decide that now was the right time?" Lyra asked quietly. Lisa Hayes answered with her characteristic bright smile. "Your ship showed up. We figured that any species brave enough to explore unknown space was probably ready to learn that some of the things they consider impossible are really just challenging engineering problems." As the Moonwhisper crew prepared to depart New Terra, they struggled with the implications of everything they had learned. The humans had casually offered to share technologies that could transform galactic civilization, medical advances that could eliminate suffering across thousands of worlds, and cultural knowledge that could enrich countless species. Yet they made these incredible offers without any expectation of gratitude or recognition. They seemed genuinely puzzled by the aliens' amazement, treating their miraculous achievements as simple problem-solving rather than impossible feats of engineering and adaptation. Standing in the spaceport where their journey had begun, Lyra looked around at the thriving human colony one last time. 50 million people lived on a world that should have killed them all within days of arrival. They had not just survived impossible conditions, they had created a paradise through sheer determination and ingenuity. "Commander," Kate said as they prepared to board their ship, "please do not hesitate to contact us if the Galactic Council has questions or if there is anything we can do to help. We look forward to meeting more of our galactic neighbors." The casual way Kate spoke about helping the galaxy made Lyra realize that humanity represented something unprecedented in known space. Here was a species that simply did not accept limitations. Where other civilizations saw impossible challenges, humans saw interesting puzzles to solve. Where others saw the boundaries of possibility, humans saw suggestions to be overcome through creativity and determination. As the Moonwhisper lifted off from New Terra's surface, Lyra stared out at the stars with a completely changed understanding of what was possible in the universe. Somewhere out there, humans were quietly turning dead worlds into gardens, solving problems that would baffle entire civilizations, and doing it all with the humble attitude of people who had never learned that some things were supposed to be impossible. She began composing her report to the Galactic Council, knowing that 3 simple words would change everything the galaxy believed about the limits of achievement and the nature of possibility. The words that would transform galactic civilization were deceptively simple, but their implications were staggering. "Humanity is real," she typed. And with those words, the galaxy would never be the same again. The impossible had become routine. The miraculous had become mundane, and humanity had quietly proven that the only real limitations in the universe were the ones that species chose to accept. The aliens of the Moon Whisper had discovered that somewhere in the vast cosmos there existed a people who responded to every challenge with determination, every problem with innovation, and every impossibility with the simple phrase that defined their species. We needed it to work, so we figured out how to make it work.